Look at this. Special guests. We love special guests, and we love things we can drink out of. It is Ian Allison joining us, the COO and president of Cavalry FC. A huge, shiny congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's been quite a ride, and it's quite a hood ornament, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Not in this weather. Not the way people are driving today.
Stick your lips on it.
Don't do that. Yeah, that's a good point. This is huge. This is significant. I think the Stanley Cup weighs 37 pounds. This is going to be in that neighborhood.
It's very heavy. It's got a lot of nickel in it. They've done a good job creating the North Star.
Yeah, this is awesome. So Canadian Premier League champions, finally. Now, there's been regular seasons, but for the playoff, this is number one, and it's the third crack against Forge. You guys finally got it done a couple weeks ago in front of an incredible, massive, boisterous, greatest of all time crowd, I'd have to say.
Seemed to be that way.
Been 20 or 30 at least. It's 7,000 plus. I know that moment will last with you and everyone that's worked from day one with Cavalry forever, but it's that moment took 6 years to get to. So maybe take us back through some of the early beginnings, stumbles, pandemic or two, things like that before you got there.
Well, you have to have believers, Pinder. You know this.
Okay, good.
You were there opening day when we were painting this picture in people's mind's eyes about this show jumping field with nothing in it.
It's like a water feature horses are going over. I'm like, how's that going to work in a soccer game?
But carry forward to November 9th, and it's exactly how we envisioned it. Full stadium. The place was rocking, foot soldiers, smoke, the whole nation watching, national, global television coverage, and a great result. It was a great event regardless, but I'll tell you, to go back to back against Forge was sweet.
Yeah, well, and it was heartbreaking the fashion that you lost against Forge the year prior, and it was in Hamilton. To have it at home, to finally get the win, and to exercise those demons. I know you're less of the football ops and more of the business ops, but you know Tommy and the players very well. I think that slaying the dragon, so to speak, was crucial. If you'd somehow not finished that off or somehow blown a 2-0 lead, I mean, there's scar tissue that might not ever go away.
Oh, I'm with those guys every day.
Yeah.
Not for a lot of time, but I know them. They're a wonderful group of young guys. They inspire everyone in the organization to come to work. They absorb the culture, and they were ferocious in their commitment, and it was great to see. And for Tommy, Jay, some of the originals, it was super, super rewarding.
Mason there, year one, Marco Carducci as well, and I'm sure staff-wise a ton.
Camargo.
Sergio, of course, who was fantastic, a guy that, had played some MLS and was, remember year one, it was kind of a star player, but, through some ups and downs of injuries, that might have been the best soccer he's played in the CPL in the championship game. We talk about timing.
He was completely focused. His body was in good shape. He has great chemistry with Jay Herdman. They came in late in the season. Those guys that can read the game like he reads the game. Yeah. Of course, Toby.
The big German was good. That's quite a story. Unreal. Okay, so on the business side, this is great. I mean, you had 7,000 plus. You could have sold out another bleacher of another 7,000 if you had somewhere to put it in time to build it. An incredible showcase game, but things never slow down on the off the field side, because you guys, by virtue of getting to the final and winning the championship, that's one of the two berths in CONCACAF Champions League. This was the Messi's coming to Spruce Meadows joke that Boomer never laughs at. But it is that tournament that Miami FC likely will be in again, and Cavalry FC is in again, and Forge is in again. And it's a couple dozen teams from around North and Central America and the Caribbean, club teams, not national teams. And the tournament, it starts like in winter, which meant you had to play in Victoria last year. How's that sort of jumping into the schedule? Because guys got to show up months earlier than they normally would.
Well, the CONCACAF region basically runs from the equator to us.
Yeah,
so we're the northernmost region, and ironically, we're 52 degrees north, and we're about 52 degrees different than
I was going to say,
the nations that we could be
which
playing
degrees,
this kind of time of year, which is tough to impart to the folks in Miami when they're phoning you about mowing patterns on the pitch and all this type of thing in February when the first round of CONCACAF starts. But it's tremendously exciting. There's 40 plus nations. The top 27 clubs of those nations qualify for CONCACAF. Nice. And the pool you go into is always interesting. Last year we drew Orlando.
We're good.
We'll likely have an MLS team or a League MX team in our in our pool first draw.
Yeah.
And there is always the possibility of Inter Miami. But what also is interesting, we were discussing it yesterday, is there's a high probability we'll end up playing in a World Cup stadium.
Wow.
Just how the draw's unfolding. And for these guys to know that, in less than 500 days, once we get into January, it's the global stage for football. And it's all that vision and trajectory that it looked inspiring and everything on paper back in 2018 when the discussion started. But here we are.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy that you're right. I mean, it's a couple summers away from this being center stage for the soccer universe, which, is, getting bigger in Canada, but is the biggest sport globally. It's not even close. The league's riding some momentum of that. The national team just beat Suriname again this week. They're into the Nations League semis. They'll play Mexico if they can win that. That's at SoFi. That's the big Rams and Chargers stadium in LA. The game's growing. What else is going on business wise? We got CONCACAF. I'm sure season ticket holders are excited to be renewing for next year. What else? Yeah, well,
we're so fortunate to have like real control over everything we do at Cavalry FC. The ownership's great. We have the venue. We don't have to go through a lot of layers or mud if we make a decision to expand seating, adjust the pitch. You may have seen some of the new seating we
the commissioner's entourage. Yeah, that was nice.
Down pitch side, that could become the battlefield in the future. Get you right up. You got to bring your cleats if you want to get any closer to the game.
Seriously.
And as we measure the renewals, we're about at and we're really early on, but I think we're close to 80% renewals on our season's ticket.
So you'll finish higher than that. That's great.
We'll go to the market and create our new fans, and of course, as you say, the ecosystem in Calgary. And in Canada, there's 40,000 kids playing the game in Calgary right now. We have this huge immigration coming into the city every month.
Soccer's huge, right?
Soccer is huge. And through our camp, our pathway system, open trials in January, which again become a thing. And occasionally you unearth, that gem. Mo Farsi.
Wow.
Perfect example.
Yeah, who's MLS now. That's crazy.
Came through futsal and now plays for Columbus Crew and was a real member. I was talking to Tommy the other day when we tagged Jay Herdman. You're familiar with our dog tags, but everybody 90 players we've had come through he's our 90th contract we've signed. And I'm really, really proud of the fact through Tommy and the culture that every player that's come through, has gone on to be an ambassador of the Canadian Premier League and of Cavalry FC.
Right.
They've all been terrific people. Some of them are, quote unquote mercenaries. They're here for 1 or 2 years, then they'll go play in another league, and whether it be in Europe or Asia or the Pacific Rim. But they all stay connected, and it's a huge global network of these players and that community, and it's really been interesting to watch grow from literally nothing.
Chatted with the commissioner ahead of the league final here on this show. Expansion's expected. This guy's going to be making lots of rounds. What I know from the Cavalry side, you guys, like as you said, a lot more streamlined than some of the other organizations that have to wait for other scheduling to be done and aren't primary tenants, things like that. But league wide, what's the momentum like? And chatting with Mark Noonan, he was sort of, it sounds like there's some heavy flirtation with Kelowna. There's other markets they want to get into. I know Mississauga's kind of made a bit of a stink about potentially getting a franchise in a downtown stadium built. What do you see league wide in the next couple of years? Well, the near term, I suppose.
It's no secret that we have this huge opportunity, especially when the FIFA World Cup comes 2026, that the focus will be on the country. And we'd like to have the league expanded to at least 10 by that time.
So that's 2 seasons from now, and there'll be 2 more teams.
Then ultimately 12. And it takes 12 to 18 months to get rolling. So you've got to have your stadium, your infrastructure, your talent pool. There's a lot of things that people maybe don't think of front of mind. How is Canada Soccer going to support it officiating wise? All of these other elements that are important if you have now with the Northern Super League. So you've got that league that requires officials and infrastructure. And it's really been interesting. I'm sure you talked to the commissioner about this. How many jobs have been created off the pitch? Marketing, sales, ticketing, sports medicine, sports science, all of these things that are part and parcel to your 23-man roster. So I would like to see it's, geographically balanced. So you get that going. I think
travel costs too, right?
Yeah, well, and Edmonton's another sleeping giant. It's such a great sports city. It's, it's right now in our basin, but it'd be great to see a reboot up there and get the right sort of foundational elements going for a franchise. I think that we've got great evolution in ownership in York now.
Yeah.
Valor's going to, continue to be a big player right in the center of the continent. So, yeah I'm excited about it.
It's interesting because you got Victoria, you got Vancouver. You probably will have Kelowna very soon. You played an exhibition game there. If you could get Edmonton in, now you got 5 and that travels a lot easier than going to Halifax and back. Like those are all 1-hour flights. That's cost-wise and, in terms of your athletes, it does feel like it's going to be a CFL like East and West thing eventually. It's just a matter of when.
Run into some sort of balance in the schedule. You get a home and away from the other side, and then more on this side of the ledger. And then our season, of course, because we also have to work around CONCACAF and FIFA windows and all of those things that happen. It's such a global game. But one of the things we have to talk about with young players when we bring them in from abroad, most of them have never been out of their time zone.
Sure.
So to explain a road trip to Halifax. For someone who's from the Netherlands, you're like,
oh yeah, I think it was like Sergio. He's from a country that you could drive across in 2 hours probably, and it's like, how long is the flight? And this is the same country.
Yeah.
And what time is it there?
Yeah, 3 time zone difference. You'll go for a day.
Exactly. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're always busy. This guy's going to be busy too. How long do you get to keep filling her up? Because
we get this one. This is ours to keep.
Oh, are you serious?
That's another great thing about the league. There's another one that's headquartered in
league office
that has the name of the champions on it, but this is going into our trophy case along with the shield and our CONCACAF qualifications. Growing up.
Have you had breakfast?
Breakfast to look right on the box there. It says it'll get us ready for the game. It's got the
soccer logo. Yeah, that's some great marketing. I prefer this to this, but hey, we're gonna pause. We're gonna have a little bite. Thanks so much for being here. Huge congrats to yourself, Tommy, the ownership, the entire organization has been first class from day one. And I know there's been heartbreak along the way, but that only makes it that much sweeter here as national champions in year 6.
Let's dive in.